Hello everyone, welcome to Write It. So first of all, please tell me whether my voice is clear and I hope the screen is also clearly visible. आप सबको आवाज़ आ रही है? स्क्रीन सही से दिखाई दे रही है? Can anyone confirm whether my voice is clear and I hope the screen is also clearly visible? Okay, thank you, Ritik. So first of all, those of you who haven't joined this Telegram channel, they can join this Telegram channel to get the updates regarding the class and to also get the update regarding the course itself. Okay, so now we'll start the national income chapter. All good? Okay. So first things first, in the previous class we understood the whole idea of flow of production. We understood Japanese GDP, we understood the concept of intermediate goods, final goods, then we saw consumer good, capital good, stock and flow as. Okay, in today's session what we're going to do is these things I'll showcase to you. So today's agenda will be first of all, we'll discuss the concept of flow of production. Okay, what exactly do we mean by flow of production? Second, we'll see circular flow of production. We'll understand some of the key concepts in national income accounting. Concepts like GDP, concepts like GNP, NDP, NNP. Okay? And then we'll see some 3 methods to calculate GDP. So these 4 things is what the agenda for today's class. Okay? And in the next class, what we're going to discuss is next class only, maybe today or let's say maybe early in the morning to tomorrow, you'll get it. We'll discuss few simple aspects like green GDP, potential GDP, and then some of the few aspects pertaining to who releases GDP and what are the various methods that it basically utilizes in order to calculate GDP or calculate India's GDP. Okay, so that's the whole idea. So first of all, let's discuss flow of production. You see, first of all, we've understood that by utilizing 4 factors of production, anybody in the overall economy creates some kind of goods or services. What are these 4 factors of production? Anyone? Tell me, what are these 4 factors of production? बताइए. See, you have capital, you have labor, land, then you have entrepreneurship. Correct, Ritik, well done. Yes, all of you are correct. Okay, so by utilizing all these things, we try to produce goods and services in the overall economy. But then it's also not very clear कि जो goods and services that we produce will stay like that or not, because we've also understood that any goods that you produce, they can also transform into some different good altogether. For example, engine that we got from Subros will be fitted into a car, and a new car, which is a new product altogether, will come out in the economy. So what is happening? In an overall economy, how does a product, let's call this product A, turns into different products through value addition is what you call flow of production. Flow of production का यही तो मतलब है. See, idea of flow of production was important to understand, to able to distinguish between the countries which were rich and countries which were not rich. Because you tell me, any rich country, or let's say, tell me a country which is rich, will that country be having more flow of production or less flow of production? What do you think? A country which is rich or which is wealthy will be having more transformation of products or less transformation of products? What do you guys think? Naturally, more transformation of products, because the more value addition you can do into your products, the more valuable your products can become, and the more money will flow into your economy. Exactly. So that's correct. So that's why understanding flow of production becomes so much important. If we see the flow of production from in terms of components also, so we see there are different types of ways via which we try to understand this flow of production. First is physical journey. Basically, you harvested a particular produce and then you take it to the APMC mandi, and then it is being sold in the market. Okay? So that's what we sometimes also call the basic processing, where you do sorting, you do grading. Okay, in those APMC mandi, all of you are aware that sometimes any kind of bad produce are also rejected. Some good produce is always stored over there. So this is what happens. Next is, sometimes you also would want to know the time factor, because there are various type of goods that are manufactured or that are produced in the economy. Some goods take very less time to produce, some take more time to produce. So having an understanding of the life cycle of the overall flow of production is also very critical. मतलब आप सोचेंगे ना कि बहुत सारे गुड्स ऐसे होते हैं जिनको बनने में ही समय लग जाता है, तो उसको आप जीडीपी में काउंट कैसे करेंगे अगर आपको उनकी लाइफ साइकिल ही नहीं पता होगी, है ना? तो उनकी लाइफ साइकिल पता करना भी बहुत ज़रूरी है. एंड लास्टली, एडिंग वैल्यू, मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ द इकोनॉमी. एवरी सिंगल स्टेप ऑफ द जर्नी एक वैल्यू एडिशन होता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, व्हीट से जब वो ब्रेड बना, ओके, अ वैल्यू इज एडेड. ब्रेड से ब्रेड आमलेट बना, अ वैल्यू हैज बीन एडेड. इसी वैल्यू को कैप्चर करके we try to calculate GDP, and that's a separate thing that we'll understand altogether. But I hope all of you guys understand that what exactly flow of production is and what are its different components, and why do we study flow of production. Because unless we study flow of production, we will not be able to understand कि ये product क्या बना, फिर कब से क्या बना, okay, in between क्या क्या हुआ. Because flow of production, if you know, then only you will be avoiding double counting. Otherwise you will note down the value of Subaru's engine, Subaru's AC, and then the whole cost of car also, and that will be double counting, isn't it? Flow of production also allow us to define GDP, and it also helps us understand that what is an intermediate good and what is a final good. Is this clear to each and every one of you? First of all, please tell me this. Once we know that how the whole good is produced, what is the flow of production, we are able to understand what is a initial good, what is intermediate good, what is final good, and where exactly we will be utilizing the value and what value we have to capture. Okay? Is this clear? Shall we move on? Okay, so now let's move on to the very important component called circular flow of income. But before we study circular flow of income, it's essential that you understand two types of market. There are two kinds of market that are right now working over here. First is product market. In which, if you see, you take the company. Now this company and you have this household. In order to produce any good that this company is selling to this household, okay, the company needs a lot more, factors of production. The company needs labor from the household. The company needs capital also. The company needs land, and the company obviously also need entrepreneur. Now all these people and all these activities will not come free. Okay, so company obviously have to pay them something. What does company pay to the labor? What kind of income does company pay to the labor? What do you call it? Whenever household provides their labor to the company, in return they receive wages. What do they receive? Wages. Similarly, whenever a land is provided, in return the owner of land receives what? They receive rent. Isn't it? Similarly, entrepreneur, by investing into this company, at the end receives what? Profit. They receive profit or not? So this whole and once this household also provide capital in form of, let's say, debt, they receive interest. Okay, so this is what you call circular flow of income. By utilizing labor, capital, land and entrepreneurship, this company produced goods. Okay. In return, this company provided the household, the wages, the interest, the rent, the profit, and by utilizing this whole money, they were able to purchase this good, because at the end, these household only will purchase the goods from the company itself, and that is why this whole money is flowing amongst this overall circular economy. Obviously, it's a very simplified version. It's a very simplified version in order to understand this, but I hope you get the gist of the point. And if we take it from an example, you think from perspective of, let's say, the company called ABC company. This company produces, again, car. Let's call it my favorite, example. Okay, this company got labor from people living in Gurgaon. Okay, in return it provided them money. Only 2 people are working and they got 100 rupees from the company. Okay, similarly this company also got capital from, let's say, a private equity firm. Let's call it Sequoia Capital. So this private equity firm basically did what? It provided money to it, let's say 1,000 rupees. Then it also received land, and in return they provided rent, let's say 100 rupees again. And then entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur basically is running it, and in terms of later on, let's see. So after basically, and in return this ABC is also providing interest of, let's say, 100 rupees in the overall year to this Sequoia Capital. Okay, by utilizing all these factors of production, they made a car and they sold it at, let's say, 500 rupees in the market. And all of these household, they were able to purchase this. So in return the ABC company got how much money? 500. This 500 rupees is basically again distributed to this labor, this land, the interest, and then some profit to entrepreneur also. Okay, again, whatever money that they are receiving, again they are purchasing the car, and that same money is flowing amongst the factor of production, and that's how, or that's what circular flow of economy is all about. Now, why do we study this concept? हम लोग ये concept पढ़ क्यों रहे हैं? ठीक है, आपने समझ लिया कि circular flow of economy होता है. हम लोगों ने ये भी समझ लिया 4 factor of production होते हैं. उन factor of productions अपने they provide various support, and in return they get wages. Now we understood this because we wanted to identify 3 methods of calculating GDP, or 3 methods of calculating how much is being spent in the overall economy, how much is being produced in the overall economy. If you look at this example, you saw, let's say, let's take a very simple example. One farmer is there. This farmer is basically, hold on to this, not a farmer. First of all, let me explain to you what exactly we were doing in above example. So in this example, if you see, in this example, we were focusing on 2 types of markets. First of all, this red one being the product market, that these are basically the factors that led to development of the product. Whatever the price of the product, that enabled us to understand कि क्या कितने amount का item आपने economy में produce किया, जो उतने item में बिक गया. So that's your final good, and how much money basically it has been built for. And then we have a separate market, which is household market, where income is the main concern. Okay, so income can be also another way to calculate GDP. So first is product, another is income, and then in the end you also require this as well. At the end, these household did what? Whatever is produced in the economy, they purchased it by doing expenditure. So expenditure is also another way to calculate the value of same good that has been produced in the economy. Getting my point? So by this circular flow of income, we were able to identify that there are actually three ways to calculate national income in the overall economy. Okay. Now let's understand few terms first, so that we will be able to judge, or we will be able to understand these three different ways in a much better manner. So first is GDP. What do you understand by GDP? GDP is also known as gross domestic product. Here the whole idea is about domestic. The whole idea is about territory. Make sure that you guys remember this. What do you mean by this? In terms of its definition, you would realize GDP basically means what? GDP means it's the total market value of all final goods and services. Again, all final goods and services produced within the geographical boundaries of a country during a specific year. Okay. So again, geographical boundaries is the major concern again, and also the final goods is also the major concern. Three factors we tried to understand from GDP. The one factor is that you need to be concerned about that what exactly is the final good, because we are only concerned about the final goods, nothing else, final goods and services also. And what are the main concern that we have? We want to understand their market value. We do not want to be concerned about their cost. हमको cost से मतलब ही नहीं है. We are not concerned about the factor cost. We are concerned about the market value. Now there is a difference between factor cost and market value, and I will help you understand that. Second thing is, we would want to identify that has this goods and services produced within the domestic economy, geographical boundary of the country, or not, produced within geographical boundary or not. And the third thing is, obviously you need some kind of time frame to identify that how much is produced. You cannot do nothing and let every year pass and then you decide, okay, let's calculate GDP of 5 years. What will it do? Nothing. Okay, so you fix a time frame also. Usually this time frame is 1 year. Okay, based on all three things, I will ask you 2 to 3 examples, and you will tell me what value will you take while calculating the GDP. Okay, so first example is, okay, so this good is produced in, okay, a car is available or sold at 1 lakh rupees. Okay, in Maldives. Will this be counted in India's GDP? Will this be counted in India's GDP? What do you guys think? Similarly, another example, if I say, this Maruti Suzuki actually produced the Swift car at rupees 4 lakh rupees, but sold it in the market at rupees 5 lakh rupees. Can you tell me in terms of GDP what value we will take? ऋतिक, इसमें ये है कि कोई भी कार आपने 1 लाख रुपए की बनाई, ठीक है, मालदीव्स में, तो उसको आप इंडिया की जीडीपी में कैलकुलेट करोगे कि नहीं करोगे, ये सवाल है। मैंने आपसे क्या कहा था, इंडिया की जीडीपी की बात हो रही है, तो इंडिया के अंदर अगर कोई डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है, केवल उसी को आप कैलकुलेट करोगे। तो मालदीव्स में क्या बनाया, कितना बनाया, आपको उससे क्या मतलब? दिस विल नॉट बी कैलकुलेटेड इन इंडियाज जीडीपी। है ना, लॉजिक बैठा कि नहीं बैठा? बिकॉज इन द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ जीडीपी वी आर कंसर्न्ड अबाउट डोमेस्टिक टेरिटरी, जोग्राफिकल बाउंड्री। हमारी जोग्राफिकल बाउंड्री में कौन सा गुड प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है, कौन सा सर्विस प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है, बिक रहा है। दैट इज व्हाट द सोल आइडिया इज। एंड इन केस ऑफ बी, ऑल ऑफ यू आर वेरी मच करेक्ट, इट विल बी 5 लाख रुपीज। क्योंकि मैंने आपसे क्या बोला था, सी फैक्टर कॉस्ट इज that how much amount of money Maruti Suzuki is paying to all those factors, land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. We are not concerned about it. We are concerned about that at how much price Maruti Suzuki is actually selling that car. We are concerned about market price, because at market price only our India's GDP also gets calculated, not factor cost. Is this clear to each and every one of you? Have you guys understood the concept of GDP? GDP is the value of market value of all final goods and services that are produced within the geographical boundary of the country within a specific time period. Is this clear? किसी को कोई दिक्कत? Okay, चलिए, let's move on. Let's talk about another concept called GNP, also known as gross national product. ठीक है, so gross national product is nothing but GDP plus net factor income from abroad. This is basically the whole formula of it. The idea in the GNP is that how much goods and services are produced by Indian nationals. यहाँ पर हम लोग कंसर्न क्या करते हैं, that we are only concerned about how much value Indians have produced. We are only concerned about Indians, not concerned about any other company that is foreign owned that have basically got the money. Okay? In concept of GDP, the particular focus was territory. In concept of GNP, the focus is on nationals or citizens or the companies that are of Indian origin. Is this clear? So naturally we need to be concerned, in order to calculate the value that Indians have produced, you have to first of all identify that apart from India, in the whole world, how many Indian led or Indian owned companies are there? How many Indians are working outside? How many assets that Indians own outside? Isn't it? So that they can provide labor, and how much money have Indians invested outside? What exactly are all of these? These are different factors of production. If any Indian is working outside, that basically is what factor of production? This is what factor of production? This is labor. If any Indian is owning a company outside, this is entrepreneurship. If any Indian is renting an asset outside of his own, is basically what? It's land. If any Indian is investing outside, it's basically Indian providing what? Capital. Isn't it? So by providing such kind of factors, Indians will be getting money or getting their income. So this is what you call income of all Indians working outside this is what the calculation is. ठीक है, यहां तक समझ में आया सबको? Anyone please confirm whether you were able to understand that because all those Indians that were providing these factors of production in the whole world outside, by providing this factor of production, they receive income. By calculating this whole income, we call it income of all Indians working outside or providing factors of production outside. Is this clear? Let's call it A. And once you understood this, then you also are aware or also must be aware that there must also be a lot more foreigners in India that are providing factors to companies in India or to people in India. For example, an Australian company providing capital to Indian company. For example, Australian workers coming in India to work. Outside company, let's say Tesla, come to India and establish plant. So naturally, all these companies will be earning within India. All these foreigners will earn in India and they will take out their money. So this is what you call income of all foreigners working in India. You got this point? है ना? ये भी समझ में आया आप लोगों को? Let's call it B. Is this clear? Good evening, Saurabh. Yes, MSD fan. YouTube पे classes as per schedule होगा. Obviously, some classes will be extended, तो वो बीच-बीच में हम लोग थोड़ा सा एक्स्ट्रा कर लेंगे. ठीक है, तो अगर इन फॉरेनर्स की इनकम हटा दें हम लोग अपनी जीडीपी में से, लेट्स से जीडीपी में भी क्या करते हैं हम लोग, जीडीपी में भी सबकी इनकम आ जाती है, जितने भी इंडिया में लोग हैं, ठीक है, जितने भी इंडिया में लोग हैं उन सबकी इनकम हम लोगों ने कैलकुलेट कर ली. उस इनकम में से फॉरेनर्स की इनकम निकाल दी. ठीक है, फॉरेनर्स की इनकम आप माइनस कर दो और बाहर जितने भी इंडियंस काम कर रहे हैं उनकी इनकम ऐड कर दो. ये हो गया आपका नेट फैक्टर इनकम फ्रॉम अब्रॉड. ठीक है, इज दिस क्लियर? एंड ये पूरा फॉर्मूला गिव्स यू व्हाट. अच्छा, ये तो आपको दिखाई नहीं दे रहा होगा, सॉरी. दिस होल फॉर्मूला, लेट मी शोकेस इट ओवर हियर. Let me again redraw it. Hold on. So as I was telling you guys, if let's say we want to calculate how much income is produced, so when we calculate GDP basically tells us the overall income being earned by all the people that are working in India, because it's a territorial concept. So in this GDP you will be having income of Indians in India. You will also have income of India, foreigners in India. ठीक है? And then you have a lot more for Indians working outside India. A lot more Indians working outside India. So if this was B and this is A, now can you guys tell me, and let's call this X. Now can you guys tell me, if I have to calculate only the income of Indians, what will be the formula I will make? What will be the formula that I should make? I will incorporate Indians in India, ठीक है? Because this is what the GDP anyways include. तो GDP में ये दोनों तो आ ही गए. अगर मैं बनाना चाहता, GDP, if you have to calculate, is basically what? X plus B, sorry, ठीक है? और GNP अगर आप करना चाहते तो GNP is what? GNP is X plus A. GNP आपका आ जाता X plus A. अब X की वैल्यू आपको पता नहीं है, तो X की वैल्यू कैसे करेंगे आप? B को उधर ले जाइए, तो X is equals to GDP minus B, ठीक है? इस X की वैल्यू को आप यहाँ पर इनकॉर्पोरेट कर दो, तो GNP will be GDP minus B plus A. आप इसको ऐसे भी लिख सकते हो, GDP plus A minus B, और A क्या था हमारा? Income of all Indians working outside minus income of all foreigners working in India. इसी को हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं? नेट फैक्टर इनकम फ्रॉम अब्रॉड. फिर मैंने नीचे कर दिया, सॉरी. देख लो इसको ऐसे, ठीक है? आई होप ऑल ऑफ यू गाइज अंडरस्टूड. अब तो डेरिवेशन भी कर दिया आपके सामने, ठीक है? किसी को कोई समस्या? ब्रॉडली एक एक चीज अच्छे से हम लोगों ने समझी है. नेट फैक्टर इनकम फ्रॉम अब्रॉड का कॉन्सेप्ट अब भूलोगे तो नहीं आप लोग? इस कंसेप्ट में किसी को कोई दिक्कत हो तो प्लीज पूछ लो अभी इसी वक्त, फिर बाद में कंफ्यूज मत हो जाना. Is there anyone who is facing any kind of problem? Please ask me right now. I hope it is clear. Okay, chalo. Now let's move on to another concept called NNP, not NNP, sorry, NDP. NDP. This is what you call net domestic product. ठीक है? अब होता क्या है, अब जैसे a lot more a lot more goods that you purchase in the overall economy, and especially if they are capital goods have this quality of undergoing what? Undergoing depreciation. ठीक है? That means losing value over a period of time. Over a period of time. So when you want to calculate net domestic product, or what you call the real time value of GDP at the end of the financial year, you do what? You deduct the value of depreciation, and that gives you NDP. It's a simple formula. Net domestic production or net domestic product means GDP minus depreciation. Similarly, net national product also GNP minus depreciation. Okay, so these two are anyway simple concept. They basically determines, okay, the salvage value, or you can say the value after deducting depreciation. So all these broad key terms I hope you guys understood. Basic distinction exam में आपसे पूछा जाएगा, this idea, you know, the formula for let's say GNP, net factor income from abroad. इनकी understanding if you guys already have, then your overall, you know, static is already done. There is no issue in that. Is this clear? Does anybody have any issue in this regards? Okay, and if there is no issue, let's try and understand one particular example. Okay, so a farmer, you know, produces, let's say, rice. This rice is basically produced at, let's say, 100 rupees per kg. Do we calculate GDP means goods produced in particular year, right? Yes, Ritik. Within that particular time period is also very important, because time period नहीं define करोगे तो पुराने goods को आज incorporate करके आज की GDP बढ़ा दोगे, ऐसे भी नहीं कर सकते ना. वो good जब प्रोड्यूस हुआ या फिर लेट्स से जब बिका, उस पर डिपेंड करता है. ओके, चलो सिंपल सी बात है. सबसे पहले बात करते हैं टाटा स्टील के बारे में. टाटा स्टील basically provided steel sheets but depreciation, if you see from the perspective of any good that is produced, let's say from, or any good that is being sold in the market, let's say in April, तो अप्रैल से जो 31 मार्च तक का डेप्रिसिएशन है उसको आप कैसे करेंगे, या उसको छोड़ ही देंगे, क्योंकि वो अप्रैल से वियर टीयर होके आपको जब 31 में आप जीडीपी 31 मार्च में जब आप जीडीपी कैलकुलेट कर रहे हो तो क्या उसकी वैल्यू आप वही सेम रखोगे जो आपने खरीदते समय रखी थी? बताइए, व्हाट वुड यू इनकॉर्पोरेट? इमेजिन कीजिए, ऐसे बहुत सारे गुड्स हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे इफ यू सी वन मशीन बेसिकली यूटिलाइज्ड टू प्रोड्यूस इंजीनियरिंग और जैसे सिलेंडर ब्लॉक. बाइक में आप देखते हैं ना जहाँ पे एक सिलेंडर ब्लॉक होता है, तो सिलेंडर ब्लॉक बनाने के लिए एक मशीन मारुति सुजुकी ने खरीदी इन अप्रैल 1 और लेट्स से अप्रैल 3, 2026. तो पहले ये बताओ ये किस ईयर की जीडीपी पे कैलकुलेट होगा? विच ईयर जीडीपी? financial year 26-27. Okay, but obviously the value of this machine, let's say if it is purchased at 1 crore, 1 crore, okay, it is purchased at 1 crore, it is capable of producing let's say 100 blocks per day. But when this whole, the value of this machine at the end of financial 26-27 will be calculated, it will be calculated at 1 crore on the basis of GDP's logic. But can you really tell me, is this machine really worth at 31st March 2027 of 1 crore? Do you really think there will be no wear and tear in this machine? What do you guys think? Will there be any wear and tear in this machine when we will see it at 31st March 2027? बताओ, आपको कोई wear tear दिखेगा? इस मशीन को हम लोगों ने अप्रैल 3 को खरीदा, 100 ब्लॉक पर डे बनाता है. अब 31 मार्च 2027 में चेक करेंगे तो हमको सेम वैल्यू मिल जाएगी? सेम वैल्यू नहीं मिलेगी. Now this machine will involve wear and tear, and the value or the amount of blocks per day that it will produce, it may go down to, let's say, 98 per day, and that considerably reduce the value of this machine, because some kind of depreciation has happened. So that's why, even though GDP में gross पे तो आप लिख दो क्योंकि मार्केट प्राइस पे चल रहा है, बट जब आप रियल वैल्यू निकालना चाहते हो, जब एकदम नेट वैल्यू निकालना चाहते हो, तो यू एलिमिनेट दिस डिप्रिसिएशन. ओके, इज दिस क्लियर ऋतिक? अंशु, एक हमारे पास असिस्टेंट की स्ट्रैटेजी का सेशन है, तो आप उस पर देख सकते हो. असिस्टेंट के लिए हम लोग कुछ 1-2 वीडियोस प्लान करते हैं, है ना, तो फिर वो भी लेके आएंगे. पूरे इंग्लिश में एक साथ क्लिक नहीं हो पाता, चलो कोई बात नहीं, थोड़ा सा हिंदी. ठीक है. आई विल, मैं मेक श्योर करूँगा थोड़ा सा बाइलिंगुअल चले, है ना, कि इंग्लिश और हिंदी दोनों. और आप लोग को जैसे अगर मान लीजिए कोई सब्जेक्ट या फिर कोई कॉन्सेप्ट समझ ना आ रहा हो तो वो भी बताते चलना. यहाँ तक किसी को कोई समस्या, प्लीज टेल. ठीक है, फिर नेक्स्ट क्लास में करते हैं. नेक्स्ट क्लास में हम लोग दीज 3 डिफरेंट मेथड्स पढ़ते हैं. अदरवाइज फिर नेक्स्ट क्लास का जो कंटेंट है वो बहुत ज़्यादा कम हो जाएगा. 15 मिनट में क्लास खत्म हो जाएगी आपकी, है ना. 3 डिफरेंट मेथड्स. फिर क्या कहते हैं, हमारी जो NSO है वो कौन से मेथड यूज़ करती है, और फिर ग्रीन GDP और पोटेंशियल GDP, ये हम लोग अगली क्लास में करते हैं. अभी की क्लास में जितना भी हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया उसमें किसी को कोई दिक्कत हो तो पूछ लो. आई होप आपको जितने भी सेशंस हम लोग अभी तक कर चुके हैं सारे कॉन्सेप्ट्स समझ में आ रहे हैं कि नहीं आ रहे हैं? आर यू गाइज? ठीक है. अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल जितने भी कॉन्सेप्ट्स वॉट एवर वी हैव स्टडीड टिल नाउ अक्रॉस ऑल द लेक्चर्स, वॉट एवर डाउट्स यू गाइज फेस, यू प्लीज आस्क इन द डाउट सेशंस ऑल्सो. मतलब आपको जो भी दिक्कत लगे, टेक्निकल भी दिक्कत लगे, आप डाउट सेशंस में पूछ लिया कीजिए. और डाउट सेशंस का वेट नहीं करना तो हमारी वीडियो के कमेंट में डाल दिए कीजिए कि ये वाला पॉइंट आप दोबारा लिख समझा दीजिए, है ना. तो हमारी टीम, इनफैक्ट मैं ही फिर आपके डाउट्स को एकदम प्रॉपरली एड्रेस कर लूँगा. चाहे वो ग्रुप मेंटरशिप की बात हो, 1-to-1 में आप पूछ सकते हो. ठीक है. देखिए जब हम लोग फैक्टर इनकम में बात करते हैं तो हमको केवल मतलब होता है किस चीज से, कि आपको कॉस्ट कितना लगा। फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक गुड को प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए आपने लेबर को कितना वेज दिया, यू नो, फिर उसके बाद रेंट कितना दिया उस लैंड पे प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए, प्रॉफिट कितना दे दिया और इंटरेस्ट कितना दे दिया। तो ये सारी चीजें आपकी क्या होगी, फैक्टर कॉस्ट। मार्केट प्राइस थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट हो जाता है। मार्केट प्राइस इज डिफरेंट व्हाई, बिकॉज द गवर्नमेंट प्रोवाइड यू सब्सिडीज ऑल्सो टू प्रोड्यूस दिस। गवर्नमेंट आपको सब्सिडी प्रोवाइड कराती कि नहीं कराती, ठीक है। और जब आप इसको बेचने जाओगे तो गवर्नमेंट पुट टैक्स ऑल्सो, टैक्स भी लगाती है। तो फैक्टर कॉस्ट में अगर आप टैक्स भी जोड़ लो और सब्सिडीज को माइनस कर लो, सो दिस गिव्स यू व्हाट, दिस गिव्स यू मार्केट प्राइस। सो दिस इज द ओनली डिफरेंस बिटवीन net national product at factor income and net national product at market price. Okay, I hope it is clear. चलिए, thank you guys for joining. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you. Okay, and in the next class we'll discuss these 3 things. चलो, bye bye. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. और कोशिश करें जिन्होंने इस चैनल को ज्वाइन नहीं कर रखा है वो इस चैनल को ज्वाइन कर ले और YouTube पे राइटेड रेग को सब्सक्राइब कर ले। थैंक यू।